People say they're just an urban legend. Kids with pitch black eyes who show up at night begging to be let inside. But I used to think that too, until the night they came to my door. It was November of 1998, a cold night in rural West Texas. My wife had taken our daughter to visit her parents, so I had the weekend to myself. The house sat about a mile off the main road, surrounded by mesquite and sagebrush. I'd been reading, half asleep in my recliner, when the power flickered. The lamp went out, and everything went still. No crickets, no wind, just the hum of the refrigerator dying in the dark. Then came the knock. 3 soft taps on the door. I grabbed a flashlight and went to the window, thinking maybe it was one of the neighbors. But when I pulled the curtain back, 2 kids stood on the porch. A boy and a girl, maybe 10 or 11, dressed in clothes that didn't fit the season. The boy wore a thin hoodie. The girl's dress looked like something out of a thrift store from the 70s. "Can we come in?" the boy asked. His voice was flat, like someone reading from a script. "We need to use your phone." That's when the feeling hit me, that cold, heavy sense that something isn't right. My gut said no, before my mouth could. "Where are your parents?" I asked. "They'll be here soon," the girl said. "Please, we need to come in." My flashlight shook a little as I raised it. When the beam hit their faces, they both lowered their heads, as if the light hurt them. And that's when I saw their eyes. Not dark brown, not shadowed. Black. Every part of the eye, the iris, the white, all of it was a bottomless black, glossy and wet, like oil. I stumbled back, heart hammering. "What happened to your eyes?" I whispered. The boy smiled. Just a thin line that didn't reach anywhere near his cheeks. "Please," he said again. "We can't come in unless you invite us." The way he said it, too calm, too patient, made every hair on my body rise. "I'm calling the sheriff," I said. "You won't," he replied, still smiling. And he was right. I realized my phone was dead. The power outage had killed everything. When I looked back, they were closer to the glass, faces almost pressed against it. I hadn't heard them move. "Let us in," the girl said softly. "We're cold." Her voice trembled, but the tears that rolled down her cheeks were black, thick as ink. I wanted to believe it was a trick of the flashlight, but I knew better. I backed away and grabbed the rifle from behind the door. When I turned again, they were gone. I opened the door just an inch. Nothing on the porch but wet footprints, small and bare, leading toward the tree line. I didn't sleep that night. The power came back around 3 a.m., and I tried to convince myself it had been some weird dream. But when the sun rose, the footprints were still there, burned into the frost. A few days later, I told a local deputy what happened. He stared at me for a long moment and finally said, "You're not the first." He explained that reports like mine went back decades. People in isolated houses, travelers on back roads, night clerks at gas stations, always the same story. 2 or more children, pale, polite, asking to be let in. When refused, they vanish. When accepted, people disappear. One old rancher swore the kids had come to his barn back in the 60s, asking for water. He let them in. The next morning his cattle were dead, eyes burned black. The rancher moved away a month later and was never seen again. For years, I avoided talking about it, but the nightmares came back every winter. The sound of knuckles on wood, the whisper, "Let us in." Then, in 2014, a journalist contacted me. She'd found my old police report, said she was doing a documentary about rural legends. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. We met at a diner off Highway 20. She brought a manila folder thick with photographs. All black and white, grainy, decades apart. Each one showed children with blank eyes, standing in doorways, alleys, even schoolyards. Some looked like the same faces from different eras, as if they'd never aged. I think they're older than any of us, she said. They mimic kids, because that's what people trust most. I asked what she thought they wanted. She closed the folder and said, "Permission." That was the last time I saw her. A week later, her car was found abandoned outside Abilene. Driver's side door open, engine running, radio humming static. Her camera was in the passenger seat. The last photo on it showed 2 kids standing on a dirt road, eyes black, smiles thin, looking straight into the lens. Now, every few years, I get a letter. No return address. Just a sheet of paper with a child's handwriting that says, "We still need to come in." The postmark is always from a different state. I've moved 4 times since 1998. Changed numbers, no social media. But the knock always finds me. Sometimes it's at 3 a.m., sometimes just after sunset. Always the same rhythm. Always 3 knocks. I never open the door. Last winter, my daughter, grown now, came to visit. I told her the story, even though I promised myself I never would. She laughed, said she'd heard of the black-eyed children on the internet, that it was just a thing people make up. That night, the power flickered. The house went dark. And then, those same 3 knocks. I froze. She went to the window before I could stop her. "Dad," she whispered, "there are 2 kids outside." I told her not to move, not to answer, but she kept staring, face pale, lips trembling. Then she said, "Dad, I think I know them." And when she turned to me, her eyes were black. People ask if I believe in monsters. I tell them monsters aren't born. They're invited. So if you ever hear that soft knock at night, if you ever see 2 children standing in the dark asking for help, do not open the door. Because once they're inside, they don't need permission anymore.